What was the most fun thing about being rich and famous really young? And what was the worst thing about it?
Well, the worst thing is people thinking that we were rich because we were not.
Lou Pearlman stole all your money.
We were famous, but we were not rich. I mean, I made way more money after NSYNC than I did during NSYNC. I mean, he really took majority of all of our stuff, and the record label too. Horrible deals. But yeah, I mean, it was to do that with those guys. It was incredible, and you had some of the best experiences ever. I mean, obviously changed my life, led me to so many things I wanted to do in life, and moments like performing with Aerosmith, the Super Bowl halftime show. My favorite band. Those moments are just like.
And were they nice to you?
Of course they were. They're incredible guys. But just a lot of pinch me moments. They're just like, really? I got to do that? Like, how freaking cool? Because I still see myself as that little kid in Mississippi that like, how am I able to do this? Like, how am I living this life right now?
But it's also, you look back on it and you must think, because if that had happened to me when I was 20 years old, how old were you?
I was 16.
16.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. If that had happened to me at 16 or 30, I'd be dead.
Oh my gosh, I would have just bought insane things.
Drugs, all of it.
Yeah.
I think I would have just gone off.
We had
the
a great
rails.
support system. I always say this. I'm glad I was in a band because I had 4 of my brothers that kept you down to earth. Right? If you said anything off the wall, they would just slap you down. Like, what did you just say? But if you're a solo artist, you're always like, yes. Yeah, you're the boss. That's it. Yes. So you kind of get this Michael Jackson syndrome of not knowing what reality is. But with a group, and we had a great family unit around us, we were held down to earth.
Well, also to like in the ensuing years to produce all the things that you've done, the entrepreneurial things that you've done, that actually requires a lot of hustle, a lack of a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive that you came out of all of that with such a work ethic.
Yeah.
Totally.
And yes, the work ethic I got from NSYNC, I cherish. And also, I was in the show choir in high school called Attaché. It was the #1 show choir in the world. And
In the world,
still is today. The director is just one of those hard-nosed directors that you just, people cry. Like you think he's going to hit you at some point.
Sounds like Whiplash.
Yeah. But it really trained me into, it formed me into this guy that could really work in Hollywood because I deal with people like that all the time. But I know how to deal with it now. So it was a great lesson to learn at an early age.
Well, and I also remember because of that era, it would be watching like an MTV Diary or something, and we would see, like for an album release or something like that, and young fans like shaking the tour bus trying to get you guys to like rip you apart, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what was like the scariest aspect of that? Because it does seem maybe because of social media or something where we feel like we have a closer connection to people. It was like back then it's like they needed to have a piece of you, actually.
Yeah, you had to show up to
Yes.
see everyone.
Yeah.
It could be scary. I was more scared for the fans because there would be times where, thousands of people would surround your bus or, camp out at your hotel, chasing you down the street, ripping any piece of jewelry off of you, ripping your hair out. It would get scary, really scary. And I always felt bad for the fans because they would get caught up into it.
Right.
So, we were doing Rock in Rio, and I just remember we had to stop the concert because people in the front were getting squished to death.
Yeah.
Like people actually died at the concert because, they were just in this mosh pit. So yeah, there's some definitely scary moments. I mean, even running into, I remember the same show, Rock in Rio, getting a police escort to the show. Britney Spears is in the car in front of us because we were doing the show together, and the federales pull us over. And I didn't know what federales were back then. I was a teenager. I'm like, okay. Guns to everyone's heads, and I made Britney get out. And we have a police escort. The police are just sitting there twiddling their thumbs like, doop, 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 doop. Yep, this is what happens. Yeah, so, I mean, you go through some crazy stuff, and every country's different, right? I mean, everywhere you go, you have to abide by those rules.
Wow. My
Made
God.
it through.
Yes.